Uh, welcome. Thanks for coming back from the morning off. And this is a particularly popular session. We started this a few years ago, Ask a Baker, and it's just our chance to get a little insight from some of the bakers that are here with us this week. So anyway, we'll kick it off.
Good afternoon. My name is Josh Bickford. I'm with Clyde's Donuts out of Addison, Illinois. This is my very first BEMA convention, and one of the things I love most about this industry are the incredible relationships and how we're all working towards a shared goal to make delicious bakery products for the world.
Hello, I'm Eugenio Álvarez Ibargüengoitia. I work for Grupo Bimbo as the Vice President of Global Engineering and Asset Management. This is my second participation at the BEMA convention. And what I love about the baking industry is that we're feeding the world, developing new products, and the industry is under a continuous transformation.
Hey everyone, I'm Shaman Ross. I'm with the Killer Brownie Company. This is my very first time attending the BEMA convention. It's been great so far. And what I love about the baking industry is how willing everyone is to share. It's really like a big, huge world that's actually a very small community. So I'm excited to be with everyone.
Hi, my name is Jeff Miller, and I'm with Aspire Bakeries. This is the fourth BEMA convention that I've had the opportunity to participate in, and I'm thrilled to be here. What I love about the baking industry is the partnerships and the relationships that you build as you're working together on solutions.
Thank you, everyone. I'm going to start with a question just about the week. So we've been here for a couple days, and just maybe one or two things, sort of takeaways, kind of shining moments or whatever that you've had. And we're going to start with George. Introduce yourself and then answer the question.
I did get my video in, but I was a little bit late. It's okay. But one thing, I'm George Martin with Flowers Foods, and this is my first BEMA. And one thing we realized when we were standing in the back is this must be like part of the initiation, because 3 of the 5 people, this is their first year. So, he didn't tell us that when they invited us, but like I said, we appreciated the invitation. But, what I've really enjoyed so far about this, the BEMA convention is just the relationships, rekindling some old relationships, meeting the new people, and just the time to get to know people. Of course, the small dinners are extremely valuable. And really enjoyed the parties last night. It was just a great job by the Henry Group, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
I think for me, my first comment is I'm still trying to figure out how someone got 24 under par in the golf tournament yesterday. If someone can explain that to me, I'd love to understand that.
Definition of the rules.
But it's been great to reconnect with people that I've seen before at previous BEMAs, and then it's exciting to see that the convention is growing and to meet some new people that I haven't had the chance of connecting with before.
My very first BEMA, and what I've appreciated is the thoughtfulness that's gone behind the schedule and also the location. I think this kind of relaxed environment has allowed for connections, and I appreciate the dinners that we had together, and I'm looking forward to tonight and also tomorrow, but just kind of the intentional space to step back and be kind of thoughtful about where we are and take a little bit of a break yesterday afternoon, so thank you. So it's been wonderful.
Well, this is my second BEMA, and what I love from this one and the previous one is the casual and very welcoming environment that we have, especially here versus LA, where was the previous one. This is warmer, and I love the no jacket policy in general. And yeah, the salsa, the salsa yesterday was good. I'm sure tomorrow we're gonna dance a little more. And I really love the place. By the way, interesting to me, a lot of Spanish local language if you see in the street or while driving. So Spanish and American combination, that's really unique here.
And this is also my very first BEMA. And I've been with our family business now for 16 years, and I've always talked about how the baking industry is a family industry and family-oriented industry, and I think that was one of the things that stood out to me the most. is we were told about how BEMA is a family-friendly event, and that's been the most fun, being able to bring the family out and see so many other happy families here. I thought it's been pretty exciting.
All right, thanks everyone. So as we found out yesterday, IBIE is now 79 days away, I believe. And so looking forward in 79 days, you go to one of these suppliers' booths and you spend a little time there. What's one piece of advice you could give them to say, I spent time in your booth and it was so valuable, that interaction. So do you have maybe one helpful hint to the suppliers in the audience?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I can start. It's actually something I do very often. It's asking what's new. So I come to the booth and what are you showing that it's new? What's pretty much give me the best that you're showing in the expo, because typically there's new inventions or really something that you're showing to the world. So getting that from the beginning is great. And the other one is of course connecting and matching with our current needs versus what each booth or each supplier is offering.
You mentioned what's new as well. What really stands out to me is this, so much has actually changed since the last IBIE. And so as a baker coming out and really seeing how technology has been applied to some of the legacy mechanical technology that we've seen, I think will be really exciting to see.
I would say something really simple, which is the people manning your booth, be paying attention to people that are coming to the booth, not being on your phone or being distracted. I think oftentimes you might be looking for someone with a big name and like keying in on that person, but you never know where people are from or who they're connected to. So just really paying attention to each individual that comes to your booth, asking a lot of questions and don't making assumptions.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And the aspect of looking at what's new, I use IBIE as an opportunity to bring my engineering team. So they know what they know, but a lot of times they don't know what else is out there, and so it's a great opportunity for them to see what's new and make those connections. And so I think that's highlighting that and then giving them the attention to be able to understand what are their opportunities that they're trying to solve, and how do your new technologies maybe meet that need.
And then I think, I'm going to be really looking at consumer trends as we go to the show, trying to see, what's new out there from a equipment standpoint, from an ingredient standpoint, to help the bakeries be successful. Some of these new challenges in front of them. And of course, the AI and how that's going to layer into our equipment. How it can make the equipment more user-friendly, troubleshooting, those kind of things from a maintenance troubleshooting standpoint. So I'm excited to see some of those opportunities, like we're all looking.
Well, I think all the suppliers will be ready for you at IBIE. Audience, let's start with your questions. Who has a question? Right up front.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Josh, I'm going to ask you this question because you mentioned that you're part of a family bakery, and so you still work with your father. How do you, as a leader yourself, how do you balance innovation in new and different ways, like bringing new ideas to the table while still respecting the foundation that your dad built? Because we're taught to, do what our parents tell us, and so you're in a unique position to try to do new things. How does that work?
Great. Yeah, it's really interesting, and I appreciate you putting the family twist on there. But it is, one of the things that we've realized with our market is the 80-20 rule applies there as well. The 80%, the core products, they drive the business. But one of the things that we went through as an organization is that I had been present in the organization for many years and just heard from our customers over and over again what's new. It's the exact same concept. And so they're craving innovation for that 20%, for those additional LTOs, those additional pops of business. And so, in our organization, it's been something that's a different perspective. It's definitely not the main driver of the business, but it's in support of making sure that they reach their financial goals as a customer base to really provide new innovative concepts. And so in doing so, as part of a family business, a lot of internal selling and making sure that we get the right people on board to support that research-based innovation.
I can actually sort of speak to that too. I'm third generation family business, and my children are fourth. And I think the most important thing is honoring what came before, and honoring not only the history, but usually those key elements that build the business don't change. So if you're building a business around people first, that doesn't change. So the product may change, but if your commitment to a certain type of product, or your commitment to quality, or your commitment to what, even when it was small, is what built you to where you are now, that doesn't change. And so that's going to end up still being an important key value and foundation for the future as well, but really honoring your family's history. And I think that's important to a lot of people. They want to know, we do business with humans. Businesses are just people. We're doing businesses with people. So people are excited and they want to know about your history and what brought you here, and it makes it more exciting to do business with them in the future.
If I can add too, I mean, after almost 80 years that Bimbo is going to be 80 years in December. So the heritage, the history, the legacy from our founders is really important. And it really, the more we continue evolving and growing as a company, we want to keep the core and the culture as a basic. So it's really important. I have been 1 year and a half, and really the first 3 months were, let's have me learn what is the Bimbo way, I will say. So how do we operate? How do we maintain that values that the company makes? Because everything you do is respecting those values, and I will say it's the guiding principle for everything we do. But by the way, you feel like a family, and in this event, I also feel like a family, and it's also a family-oriented event, of course, with our family. So family is very important for this business, and we have to keep it that way.
I can't help but add, in Flowers, we preach the Flowers culture, trying to retain that culture as we grow larger and larger, and you don't want to lose the things that got us here. To your point, making sure that your people understand that. New people coming in, from outside, we've gotten some great people from the outside industry and brought them in, but trying to make sure they understand that culture as we go forward. We don't want to lose that piece. And, as new people coming in, the opportunities that are there for people as they come into the industry and grow. And that's what's been exciting, because, you look around, I've been in this a long time, and you look around and you see, everybody's grown up together. And that's where there's a whole lot of people that have found success. And I see, a lot of people in this room, a lot of people in our company the same way. But that's what's been tremendous to me through this, through my career, is the opportunities that are there for people that are willing to accept the challenges and make the sacrifices.
And everybody took it that way. Just to round out the conversation, the other thing that I think is really important to highlight for everybody here as well is this is our 105th year. And what I always tell our teams, I look back on, we weren't afraid of change. Like every generation and every decade or two, there's going to be seismic changes that we have to adapt to. And I think that's woven into the culture of the business. And so that's where, change really comes into play.
Well, that was a great question. What a great conversation. We have another question ready for you right back here. Charlotte.
Hi, way back here in the back. I'm curious, I bet a lot of people in this room could guess what your biggest challenges are right now, but how are your biggest challenges impacting your approach to IBIE later this year as you're planning and thinking and preparing to attend the show?
I had a hard time hearing your question.
Yeah, I had a hard time
I don't know if
hearing.
you could repeat it, Emily.
Yeah, I can repeat it. So as you're thinking about your biggest challenges right now, and that IBIE is also this year, what are you looking for, and how are you approaching IBIE to address what you're currently faced with from a challenge perspective right now?
Go ahead.
I can speak for us. We are in a major transition period to automation, so we're very excited about the timing of IBIE, so we're approaching it. We have a lot of plans in place and a big team attending, so we're excited to see what's out there and how we can support what we think we need to do in the future.
I was going to add, obviously, one of the challenges that has come up is, of course, labor. And I think what's actually really funny to think about is I think labor has been the topic now for every convention I've been to for the last 10, 15 years. So it's definitely not going away. And where it's really morphed for us, too, is operator simplicity. It's not just finding the right people, but making sure from an everyday standpoint, there's simple instructions and training and support in order to make that because, and that's where technology and AI is really helping us, is making those instructions simpler to follow and use. The only challenge, of course, is that we're shifting our labor need to engineers and sophisticated, programmers. So I think at IBIE, we're looking for how do we bridge that gap? How do we make things simpler, kind of point and touch for most of our systems on the line? But then obviously, how do we support it at a much more advanced level as well?
I can add one thing I'm going to be looking for is there's a balance to me between, how much automation is necessary and how much still needs, you got to have some flexibility of that too. So there's got to be a balance in that, especially as we continue to diversify our product lines. But also just making sure that the equipment's properly, easy for the people to set up. You said it. The center lines are easily posted and easily set to where, the people know how it's set up. And honestly, we all know that it really eliminates a lot of confusion when you've got an operator and an engineer and everybody agrees on how equipment's set up and it's going to be set up correctly. That automatically diffuses a lot of discussion. So it lets them focus on taking care of the problem. So just, everything we can do to simplify the way it's set up, the way it's maintained, and allow the bakeries to be successful, I think is a key.
Yeah, to build on that, we're in a similar situation where we have a mix of aging bakeries that need some TLC and some investment. And so how do you invest those in a way that's practical and affordable? And also, we're on a growth trajectory. And so looking at opportunities to affordably grow our capacity, but to do it in a way that does make it easier for the operators. So I had a conversation with an equipment OEM who will remain nameless a few years ago, and they made a comment that we were working through a problem, and they said, well, maybe you just need better operators. Like, okay, there may be some truth to that, but we also need to accept that we're not going to have maintenance technicians and engineers running our lines, and so how do we design our equipment so that it's easy to set up, easy to maintain, easy to clean and sanitize? Think about how much time we spend cleaning and sanitizing. And that's a skill that just, it's not something that exists out in the marketplace to readily go find somebody that can do that job. So those are the kinds of things that we're going to be looking for in our equipment.
And just to complement, I will say we want it all, right? So we're looking for the best equipment, easy to maintain, easy to operate, easy to clean, and all of that. We're looking for the newest trends on technology. We're looking for ways to do very complex products, every time more complicated, more artisanal, but also with flexibility to do multiple things in the same line. So it's a big challenge that we have there, but also trying to reduce cost in our equipment. It's also important. And I will add also the ingredient suppliers. We also want the best ingredients, consistency, and so every time we go to IBIE, it's going to be my first IBIE, by the way, disclaimer. But every time the company goes, it's really looking for many things. So in general, I would say everything you can offer that it's new, going again, it actually solves a lot of the problems that we have, and that's why the event is so important for all of us. Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here today. I'm hearing this in this panel and through the course of the week talking about, turnover and talking about making simple HMIs and easy operator machines. At the company I work for, we're investing a lot of, time and money into academy programs to make lines, to make available resources sent out to your facilities, and working with your folks. There's a price tag to that, and I'm curious, is that something that you guys are interested in hearing more about? Is the OEMs coming to you with like a training program specific for the applications? And if so, would that be something you'd want to see like on a regular basis, maybe on a, an annual interval or something?
Short answer is yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I was just going to say, I was inspired yesterday by the workforce conversation we had, and just this idea of elevating our baker back to being a baker, because we've heard that inside our bakery too, where if you make it too simple or you dumb it down too much, you know, it's almost like it's just a repetitive job, and but these are bakers, and we need to elevate that position. And so to that point, you know, not only the education standpoint of elevating it, but for us, you know, we would like people who are trained to troubleshoot. It's not that they have to have all the answers. It's that they can work down the list of 10 different items to troubleshoot what the problem is and then ultimately resolve it. So it's more that training of critical thinkers who know and understand bakery and formulations on the line that can at least troubleshoot it to a point that we can get our scientists involved if we still aren't able to resolve from the set point standpoint.
If I heard the question correctly, like I said, I love having OEMs come in and help do training, especially, you know, when you're setting it up. And I'll be honest with you, I've done it, especially when you have a turning workforce. I may do it once a year or twice a year, just try to get everybody level set between production and engineering and everybody on the same page of what good looks like. But there, again, the easier we can make this equipment, where when it goes into a fault, it steers you toward the problem. It doesn't just shut down, or stop. It tells you where the problem is, and then allows people to go clear it or restart it or whatever. But again, the more user-friendly we can make it, I think everybody's going to be successful. You know, you're going to get less phone calls. You're going to get, the engineering team's going to be successful. The production team can be efficient and operate it correctly, and everybody's life's easier. But that's where we just, honestly, I think about the cars of today versus the cars before. And now if you've got a problem, it's taking you to, it tells me my tire's low. I ain't got to gauge my tires every week. We know where the problem's at. We can go fix it. And the more we can do that with this equipment, the better off we're all going to be.
And I think there's always going to be that tension and the cost pressure. Every time we talk about training or buying an option that makes it easier to troubleshoot, or there's a sanitary version of the equipment, but it comes at a premium. You always have that conversation of, is it really worth it? And it all comes back to understanding and figuring out how do you quantify the value proposition, and if you can help quantify that for the bakers, and maybe help them think through it in ways that they haven't thought through the value that's generated, that may be something that helps you get that value proposition there. But I think it's, in principle, I think we need it, and definitely would love to have more of that.
I think more data that we can have when it comes to training and coaching our teams helps, because it takes the emotion out of it. I 100% didn't hear your question, so hopefully I'm answering it correctly, but recently we did something, we implemented Red Zone, and it has been unbelievably powerful for us, because it gave us data that could help us dig into some behaviors, because a lot of times those are emotional conversations. So the more you can have training around data and look at things in a black and white way, the more you can figure out where the issues are and start to solve for those. But hopefully that answered your question. I think that the training is powerful as long as it aligns with facts.
And just to complement, it's the equipment life cycle. It's not just designing the machine. You typically build the machines, you sell the machines, but we operate the machines. Of course, there's a lot of learning that we have in both sides. So the more we collaborate on that, the training program, because you know how it was designed, we know how we want it to operate, we have to integrate the two things. And I love the idea of the data. The more we share the data, which I know we're evolving that way with the Industry 4.0, but the more you see how the machines are operating in the real world, the more we provide that data with the supplier to improve the design, but also actually improve the performance, improve the training plan to the question. We're really gonna step up as an industry, so I think that's really important.
Who's next? Oh, we have a question over here.
Hi guys. Hey, as we all know, we've all gone through some economic turbulence, over the last few months. My question to you is, how has this economic turbulence and the threat of tariffs, how is that affecting your decision making when it comes to your capital purchases?
I can give you the first generic it does create a lot of uncertainty, right? So we're a little more cautious on the investment. I think that's in general the answer. But at the same time, I think it's not changing that much where we're going. So we know the strategies. We hope it's something on the short term that doesn't impact that much. It also it's giving us like a sign of, hey, we need to look into local solutions, right, instead of that much international trade as we used to do. But of course, also long term, there's a lot of benefits on the international trading. So I don't know if I answer, but it's times of uncertainty, and let's say we go as we're learning every day.
It's a balancing act to answer, of course. I completely agree with uncertainty. I would just probably more boldly say for our experiences, it's real. It has an impact. It comes up in conversation. I think you're right in that it just causes, you may be running forward on a plan, and it causes you to pause. Now, it doesn't mean you're going to necessarily change strategies. Perhaps you change timing, but it is, the uncertainty is really the only sticking point that causes a pause. Now, again, I think the good news is it doesn't seem to be having necessarily the dramatic impact on our plan. So we continue to progress forward, but it was a pause point, that's for sure. And the lack of clarity is frustrating as a business owner.
What they said.
Yeah, I agree with Josh. May not stop a project, but at least make you stop and make sure of a project. Got to be that much more certainty. So.
Yeah. Our level of investment's not changing related to this. Now, like everybody said, we may be pausing and just reaffirming that this is the way we want to go, but the level of investment and the bullishness there isn't changing. It's I think more just evaluating what is the path forward, specific equipment that we're going to be purchasing. Those things, you may need to take another look at those, but the overall strategy stays the same.
And I do think it, like you said, reevaluating. It's kind of positive all around because it actually makes you look at the business again and say, hey, we made this call. We're moving forward with this. Is this still what we want to do? And you look at it and resoundingly say yes, then hey, let's keep going.
We heard from Carolyn Lee yesterday with the Manufacturing Institute. I thought she had some great resources. That's why I wanted her to come and share with you guys. Let's talk a little bit about workforce. Those programs we heard about, FAME, Heroes, Second Chance, all those. I know you guys all operate, various plants. Maybe talk a little about workforce and how you guys are doing right now, and any of those sort of resources that you're using to get where you want to go.
I can speak to a couple of things. The first thing that we've done is we're making sure that we're competitive to other manufacturers in our area. So not just bakery, we want to be competitive for car manufacturing. We have a lot of manufacturing in Ohio, so we want to make sure that we're competitive in that market and that we're offering people career opportunity. So a really great place to start. And then the other thing is we are working with Jobs Ohio, we're in Ohio, and local school to be able to set up a entrepreneurship for our team to be able to apply for. So those are just a couple of things that we're doing because we want people to consider to come to us viewing this as a career and an opportunity to be able to grow.
Please.
Well, I was just going to say, of course, our Dave's Killer Bread plants, they were known for the Second Chance program and giving people the opportunity to get back into society. And we've been very successful with that, and we've spread that to some other locations. And I think about it, and we're working a lot of different avenues, trying to overcome this workforce thing. We're trying to approach, young people coming out of high school and showing them a career path, helping sponsor their education in cases, and trying to help them see a future in this industry. Hopefully, if we get them there, we can show them what success looks like, and they'll accept the hours and the weekends and those things we know we have to put up with, and they'll be a long-term player like a lot of us. We've got people where we've gone outside the industry and found good managers and then brought them in and put them on accelerated training paths to be leaders in the company and been very successful with that as well because they're bringing a fresh set of eyes. They understand efficiency and they understand safety. We just got to teach them bakery. And so we're exploring a lot of different options right now. We grab some folks fresh out of college and we put them on an accelerated program. So I think it's going to take all the different avenues to, to overcome some of the workforce challenges we've got. So.
And even if you solve the hiring equation, right, you still need to solve the training piece. Getting back to the training question, you can go pay as much as you want and find good mechanics and maintenance technicians, but they're not going to know how to troubleshoot a divider. They probably aren't coming from bakery industry. They're not going to know what a proofer is, and so they need to learn our equipment and how to troubleshoot our equipment. How do you maintain our equipment? And so focusing on that aspect of the training curriculum is really important for us.
Before the session, I had no idea about this Second Chance program or organization. I love the concept. What I was going to mention is we need to work on development. We need to make sure that people love what they do. If they do love what they are working on, they're really going to learn, they're going to develop themselves, they're going to grow, they're going to be challenged. And I think that's the positive cycle we need to build. There's also, of course, the negative cycle where somebody's there just to stay there for a little. Right? We're seeing that some people after a few weeks or months move to another industry because the work in the factories, it's tough, especially for the new generation. So we're seeing that we need to put a little more attention on the welcoming, on the love of bread. So for example, for new collaborators that join the organization, we teach them how to do bread, right? They may be operating on an industrial level that has nothing to do with actually doing it with your hand, but you have to do it to love it, and once you get that love, you'll do much better in the job, as I was saying.
And you touch on a great point too. Obviously the baseline is competitive wages and benefits, and we always start there as well. But honestly, we've been focusing quite a bit on culture and what we, and our team kind of refers to as maximum engagement. The individual feeling maximally responsible for their role and engaged in what they contribute. And we've seen a lot more of that stickiness with those long tenured employees then as well, where they feel like they're having a direct day-to-day impact. And for us, that's a cultural thing. That's all about speaking to this legacy culture that our family has in our own organization, and how do we finalize that and keep that moving forward.
You mentioned about the next generation. I think this generation, Gen Z, I think, is what we're hiring, and they want a purpose. Yep. They want to feel like they're part of something bigger. It's not just a job. So how are we speaking to them in terms of purpose? Do they understand what our purpose is? It's not just making a product. What is our purpose? Our purpose around people. Our core values are very much aligned to that, and we actually hire. Even our initial interviews, are they aligned with our values before we even welcome them in the door? And I think that's a really important part of also confirming with the rest of your team that you mean what you say by who you allow on the team as well. So, but just making sure that they understand that they're part of a bigger purpose. I think that's a really important thing to communicate in order to keep them.
Thank you all for being here. There's a lot happening with consumer trends right now, regulatory trends, MAHA, clean label. Could you comment on one or two consumer trends that are particularly impacting your business, how they're impacting you and your organizations within the business, and how we as a supplier community can help?
Repeat it. We're having trouble hearing.
Yes.
Especially about his
I
low
missed the
voice.
part on the trends. I missed the middle. Yeah.
Yeah, consumer trends. So are there a couple of consumer trends that are particularly impacting your business and kind of in you and your organizations within your business, how you're responding to that, and how we as suppliers can help you in overcoming them, whether they're challenges or opportunities?
Okay, and like I said, I think we're all watching the consumer very closely as they're trying to figure it out as to where the consumer's going. We know there's change there. And a lot of innovations being done across the industry, trying to win them back over or keep them on the bread aisle. And that's where I think there's just going to continue to be a lot of effort as we define that, as we figure out all the different products. I mean, we've seen the ketos come out, we've seen the people going more toward wraps and those type things, and so I think that's where we just got to kind of redefine what I guess what the main line's going to be, and then be able to adapt that over to wherever the consumer's going to end up. And I think we're going to learn that over the next few years, but I think it's going to take time to really define that.
one of the things we follow closely, or we're following closely now, of course, is hopefully there's going to be an outcome here where we have a lot more clarity about some of the ingredient restrictions and finalization. Because I think having these different restrictions across independent states is very difficult. Obviously, we're in sweet goods, and so a lot of the conversation around sugars and other things like that could have an impact down the road. But donuts are still a fun, indulgent product that are good for you. See, emotional well-being, well-being. It is. That being said, it's a partnership, right? Like, we need to rely on our supplier partners to help us navigate it and remove some of those ingredients. Because what really happens, of course, is we're under the gun from our customers to have it all figured out under a certain timeline, and we have to go upstream as well to rely on our partners to have that help to get that done.
I will just compliment on the flexibility. So we need to have, taking that example, a more nutritious donut versus the more indulgent donut. So we need to have a balance and different offering. I would say typically those trends take time to mature, but we have to start offering them, right? So it's definitely changing. It's something we are always actively looking. And the nutritional aspect, I think that we need to create a really good relationship of bread is healthy, right? So there is like, I don't know, these diets that no, you shouldn't have carbs, and that's gonna help us also communicate properly the advantages of bread in general.
The other thought that came to mind for me is the trend of the consumer, the point of purchase being more in C-stores versus the traditional grocery aisle, right? And so that presents challenges and opportunities to think about packaging and how do you present and sell in the C-store channel.
We love a challenge. So I actually think there have been a lot more suppliers that have been providing ingredients and alternatives that are a little bit more aligned with what consumers are asking for, but we don't have to give up taste. There's so much emotion attached to food, and if you think of every great memory you've ever had in your life, there's probably a dessert. I'm in the dessert space, sweet goods, so every great emotion is tied to a sweet good in my life, and we don't want to lose that. So I think thankfully there's a lot more happening on the ingredient front that's giving us more options, especially in our space, to be able to follow along with those trends, but not jump so far away that everything is boring. Yeah. The United States is known for all this fun, exciting things that we do, and we're not going to give that up. So I think that in the food space, we're going to preserve those emotions and all those things that tie to those memories, but also we can become a little bit more healthy, I think. But yeah, I don't want to lose what we have, what's been so important to us and to all of us, even as individuals as well.
And the consumers vote on that as well. I mean, it has to be delicious, right? It starts with being delicious, and then of course, they look secondly, I believe, in terms of how can we remove and make some of these cleaner items. And I would say, I think in the past 5 years, I feel like the industry partners have done a tremendous job being on the forefront of that, a lot more than maybe historically, and I think a lot of it, like you mentioned, Eugene, comes back to communication and how do we continue to celebrate the benefits of bread and some of these other things and not lose sight of that to social media and everything else.
Good question.
Yeah, good afternoon. Thanks for joining us today. Obviously, many of us in the room are thinking about September and IBIE, and I'd like to hear if you could share with us your thoughts. Are you planning on same number of people, less people, more people, and kind of your thoughts around buying and planning and what you're doing for IBIE?
Okay. Yep.
I'm a private company. I'll let you know about our cycle. So we love the timing on IBIE because we do all of our planning and forecasting then into the fourth quarter for the next calendar year. So we end up bringing our teams out. It's really exciting. I would echo kind of what George or I think Jeff said about we bring our team out. This is their opportunity to get out of the manufacturing facility and see some new concepts. So be patient with them. Know that they're seeing some new things that they may not have seen or even internally haven't been exposed to. So of course they come back with capital projects list that is much larger than most people can stomach. But we get excited about it as well. So That's probably the insights I would give you to our presence there from equipment as well as supplier partners or ingredient partners.
Maybe I'll just add, this year it's a little complicated with IBA being on the same year as IBIE, so that timing didn't match perfectly. But now that we see IBIE, it's definitely something very important to attend, participate, so of course encouraging everyone to be there.
I think the number of people you send depends on what you need, what your current state of your business is. Do I think you need to send to everyone just because it happens every 3 years? Probably not. But I think depending on where you are, if you're ready to make some big changes in automation, then it's definitely a worthwhile investment to send a significant showing to the event.
Yeah, I share that most of my engineering team will be there. The only folks that won't will be those that are working on a major project that just can't get away. And then we're going to have some of our commercial partners there as well. So don't tell my commercial partners that you can do all these crazy ideas that they'll probably ask you about, because then I'll be on the hook to deliver it. But no, we use that as an opportunity to, as a broader business team, learn about what's out there, what are some of the new capabilities, and then talk about how could we use that in our business.
We'll have about the same number of people there this year as we've had in the past. We've got a good cross-functional group coming. Of course, R&D and quality and our environmental and safety, as well as the engineering team and the production. The production teams will be there. So we're going to have a good cross-functional group, kind of looking at it from all different angles. So I mean, just excited to see what we're going to have. But again, I mean, as some of the new products are being developed, I know that a lot of the ingredient suppliers are going to have some things to show, and consumer trends as we continue to learn more about that. And then also the equipment, like I said, it's easy to come up with the idea. This is what I always charge R&D, but then we have to figure out how to produce it. So, I mean, the ways that we can marry those two together, I think are going to be huge going forward. And then, I mean, this team, y'all honestly know what the bakeries have in place, that we know we can't go in and replace an entire production lines. So how are we going to modify what we currently have in place to accept, to give us more range of tolerance on some of these projects, more flexibility on these projects, to where we can be more flexible. And I think that's going to be critical as we go forward. And as y'all design equipment, don't just keep producing what we've done in the past. How are we going to make it run a different size pan or a different type product with the same or minimal changes on dividers, molders, pan systems, whatever? How are we going to be more flexible to accommodate what the consumer's wanting? Because there again, none of us knows what the end looks like yet. We're all trying to figure out where that is. So that's where working together as a team, I think, is going to be huge as we go forward.
All right. I'm Matt Bowers from New Horizons, and I have a question for anybody on the panel. If you have a structured baker training program, and then what resources you use for that, and if there was training available for, say, a week that you could send key employees to, would you utilize that?
We don't have a good program that is across all of our bakeries. We have some bakeries that do better than others, but we don't. It's a big opportunity for us, and I think if there was something like that, I think we'd be interested in learning more about it.
I was talking earlier this week with somebody, and we all know as an industry, when AIB quit having those courses, teaching the baking of science and technology, I mean, we took a step backwards. And so now we're all struggling to kind of fill that gap. And especially as the true bakers are retiring, and you lose that just good hands-on approach to baking, that feel of baking. And so I think it is something that we're all looking for. So if there's opportunities out there to train, I mean, we'd definitely entertain that and would support it to try to help make sure we're building that next generation.
I 100% agree that there's quite a bit of a void, so much so that we've attempted multiple times internally to replace some of that AIB training that we used to have. So I would say there's a huge appetite for aligning our people to certain training seminars specific to baking. But I think there's a void there for sure. Now it all just comes back to taking your most experienced people and building these internal trainings, which is, hey, go stand next to this guy for 3 weeks, and which is great, but it's still not very formalized and dependent upon a lot of tribal legacy knowledge.
I fully agree with the comments. Yeah, I think it will be very important.
Yes, I would agree as well that I think that there's a need.
Fantastic. Thank you all for your time. That was the last question. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you for their time here today.
Well done. Thank you.